يا رايح وين مسافر تروح تعيا وتولي شعل ندموا العباد الغافلين قبلك وقبلي يا رايح وين مسافر تروح تعيا وتولي شعل ندموا العباد الغافلين قبلك وقبلي.
Rachid Taha was an Algerian singer who was based in France. He actually moved to France with his family while he was quite young. He was musically active from the early 80s until his death in 2018. And he is particularly known for blending Algerian and Arabic music with pop, punk, techno, and other styles. In 1981, he became the lead singer of the band Carte de Séjour, which is French for a green card or residence card or something like that. It is claimed, was by him as well, that he was inspired by the British group The Clash. Now, he actually met The Clash in 1981 in some circumstances, and he gave them a tape of stuff that he or the band, I'm not quite sure, not quite clear, had been recording. Had no response from them over time, but then he claims that they used that for an inspiration for their classic track Rock the Casbah. He found it hard to get traction in France. He was critical of racism, and the band recorded an ironic version of classic French song Douce France, which is Sweet France. So it's a bit like having the Sex Pistols doing Land of Hope and Glory or something like that. It was definitely taken and intended as being an irony thing, and this didn't go down very well. 1989, he moved to Paris and started a solo career, and at this point he started doing more in terms of blending in Arabic instruments with the stuff that he was doing. Wikipedia lists 4 albums with Carte de Séjour and 10 solo albums. Hi, my name's Dan. So this apparently was the most famous and successful album by Rachid Taha, and I'm not sure how you pronounce the name of the album. It might be Diwan, but if anybody knows and can tell me in the comments box, I'd love to hear. And apparently this album is more Algerian than his previous albums had been, and features many songs about the founders of a musical type called Rai music, and implication is that there might be some traditional songs in here as well. And it's my first encounter with him, and therefore with this album as well. So what I normally do, and I know I keep telling people this, but somebody might be dipping in and not know from my other videos, what I normally do is I listen to an album twice. If I don't know anything about an album, I tend to try and listen to it first before I do any reading up, so I don't know anything about the album at that point, so I get as dry a listen in that sense, out of context as possible. Then I do my reading, and then I listen again. And I usually try and do it in 2 different settings as well, 2 different sets of equipment, to try and give different impacts of, impressions of what it sounds like. So I didn't know he was Algerian at the point when I first heard it. And it sounded to me like it was Bollywood. I thought he was Indian at this point. And the reason why I thought that, and I think there are some similarities here to that, is that you've got ethnic drumming, you've got the use of the kind of harmonic and tune use of semitones that are not used in most Western music, apart from heavy metal these days. And it has these, what is described in one bit in Wikipedia as string orchestra flourishes, which is where you get a riff of a few notes done, usually in octaves by strings. So, and then sing, 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 and that kind of thing. Obviously, I found out that it's not Indian. I think the other thing that made me suspect it was Bollywood is because it does blend in some kind of more modern production techniques and production ideas, and there's quite a bit of Bollywood music that does that. So My biggest experience, I haven't listened to a lot of Bollywood, or in fact watched Bollywood films, but I did really like a soundtrack for a film called Rangila that I discovered years ago, and I really enjoyed listening to that. I've listened to it several times. So this is quite upbeat mostly, and it feels quite dancey. It also feels like it's got, as I say, these elements of Western production in. I find it a little bit hard to put my finger on why this was. So there are obvious points in time where it uses what you might think of as Western rhythms, but then you kind of listen to it and you go, oh, well, actually, but they're using the whatever it is, the ethnic drums here. But it sounds like it's possibly using samples and loops at times. Some of the structural things feel a bit Western as well, the way stuff comes in and comes out. And just the fact that it's got a kind of good deep bottom end to it sounds more modern because of that. Interestingly, one track has an interesting bossa nova beat effect to it. The reason I think that it sounds like it's got Western production is because it's been produced by a guy called Steve Hillage. That doesn't sound like an Algerian person. No, I know this name, Steve Hillage. He was a guy who was in the band Gong and was part of what was called the Canterbury scene. So he's an English guitarist. And he also does guitar, electric guitar on this album. So you mostly half in the background, but occasionally you'll hear like a guitar chord, and then it's kind of with a bit of wah-wah and effects on it. You go, yeah, okay, that's Steve Hillage doing his stuff. Elsewhere in this, there's some really nice playing of stringed instruments of various kinds. I couldn't name them all. There's some flute work, which is really nice as well. The lyrics, I mean, his singing voice is reasonable. He's known for having a bit of a gravelly singing voice, apparently, and yeah, that's fair enough. It's mostly in Arabic. Some of it's in French, apparently. I don't know which bits, so I didn't understand any, I think, of the lyrics. I did manage to pick out some of the titles of the tracks. So as I saw the track title, I could hear it being sung in the song. So, but actually, I'm judging this mostly, almost entirely on the music rather than on the lyrics, and it has to be that way. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I do like things that are kind of, I mean, I do like world music generally anyway, but I do like it when you get kind of a somewhere's folk tradition, and then blended with some of this, the Western stuff. And I'm sure there's more of this to come in the list. I hope so. And so I've come across kind of Eastern European stuff that's like this. There's one of my favourite bands from Scotland, Capercaillie, do traditional Scottish stuff, but then with kind of a bass and drums backing and stuff. I really like this blend generally. So I do like this. My favourite track is probably Habina, which is the third track on the album, which goes through several sections, and I find it all quite enjoyable. So I liked it. What do you think? Please talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.